phones. Thank you. Will the clerk please read the compliance with the Senator Byron Bear Open Public Meetings Act?
In accordance with Section 5 of the Senator Byron Bear Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the annual notice schedule, which contain the time, date, and location of this meeting, copies of which notices were forwarded to the official county newspapers, to wit, the Herald News, the Record, and the Star Ledger, and a copy of which was posted on the bulletin board in the Bergen County Justice Center and Administration Building, 1 Bergen County Plaza, Hackensack, New Jersey, and filed with the Office of the Bergen County Clerk.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Freeholder Amoroso.
Here.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Ortiz.
Here.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Here.
Freeholder Tonelli.
Here.
Freeholder Voss.
Here.
Chairwoman Zur.
Here. Evidence of a quorum is present. Will you all please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This Friday, June the 2nd, is National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And in keeping with the goals and ideals of that day, we, the Freeholders, have before us in tonight's agenda a resolution, Resolution 464-17, to promote greater awareness of gun violence and gun safety. May I have a motion, please take 464-17 out of order?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Will the clerk please read the title of Resolution 464-17?
464-17 is a resolution recognizing June 2nd as Gun Violence Awareness Day and June as Gun Violence Awareness Month.
We have agreed that this is going to be sponsored as a body of the whole. Is there anyone who wishes to discuss this as far as the board is concerned?
I can give you a little background on it. The Wear Orange campaign was inspired by Hadia Pendleton, a 15-year-old Chicago high school student who was killed by gunfire. Hadia's friends decided to honor her life by wearing orange, the color that hunters wear to protect themselves and others. This June 2nd will be the third National Gun Violence Awareness Day. June 2nd was Hadia's birthday.
Thank you, Freeholder Amoroso. I know there are quite a few people who wish to speak and will have an opportunity to do so during our public comment section. But can I please have a roll call as far as this resolution is concerned?
Freeholder Amoroso.
Yes.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Ortiz.
Yes.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli.
Yes.
Freeholder Voss.
Yes.
Chairwoman Zur.
Yes.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Motion passes. I'd like to ask Ms. O'Donoghue of Moms Demand Action to come forward and please accept the resolution. First, you wish to have a few moments to comment as far as this is concerned before we present the resolution to you?
Just briefly, just
Okay.
very briefly. Lisa O'Donoghue, spell it O''D-O-N-O-G-H-U-E. Thank you. So, so I wanted to thank you all for having us here. This is my first time in front of the county board, but I really appreciate the opportunity and I appreciate your support of this resolution. We just recently started a Bergen County chapter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, and we're growing by leaps and bounds, and we're turning Bergen County orange this year, which is fantastic. Freeholder Amoroso already gave the background on how the Wear Orange campaign got started, and Moms Demand Action got involved with it and helped it become a national movement 3 years ago. And last year we lit up the Statue of Liberty, the Toy Tower in San Francisco, Niagara Falls, the Superdome in New Orleans. I mean, over 150 landmarks across the country. We're hoping to turn even more of them orange this year. And we've already had a number of Bergen County townships and boroughs sign on to this, including my own home borough, Oradell, Ridgewood, represented by Bonnie Chalik here, Mawa, Waldwick, Wyckoff, Leonia, the list goes on. There are 13 or 14 names. I can't think of them all, but I've been so really pleased by the result and by the reception that we've had up here in Bergen County. And this really just caps it off for us. So thank you so much, and thank you for bringing this to the board, Chairwoman.
Thank you so much. And we have a resolution on behalf of the Board of Trustees and Freeholders, on behalf of all of us, recognizing June the 2nd as Gun Violence Awareness Day, and also calling on all of us in Bergen County to promote greater awareness of gun violence, gun safety, and particularly during the summer months when some of these events seem to spike. We're going to all come down into the well and make this presentation to you.
Would you spell your name, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can promise you that.
This is great. Get a little balance. Hold on. Why did that get in there?
Oh, no, you're fine.
And then you guys hold this. Because I'm live.
Jared? Working.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, too.
Okay. Will the clerk please read the minutes to be accepted?
May 3rd, public session, all present. May 10th, work session, Freeholder Tonelli absent.
May I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The minutes stand adopted. Can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion to open the meeting to the public is unanimously approved. We're now going to have a hearing of the general public with a 3-minute time limit in effect in accordance with Bergen County Freeholder bylaws. The board attorney will keep the time, and when the time of the speaker expires, the timekeeper will announce that the time has expired. Please fill out the slip of paper with your name and address on it and the general topic of which you wish to speak. Sure. Okay, Chris Weston?
Mr. Weston, before you begin, just as a point of order for yourself and anybody else who might speak on this subject, that additional litigation has been initiated by the attorney for your union, and on advice of counsel, the freeholders have been advised not to engage in any discourse on any subject matter related to your appearance here tonight.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
And Chris Weston, PBA 49 president. Just a couple of things I had. I reviewed the proposed budget that was on the county's website from April 26th. The sheet where it pertains to the Bureau of Police Services, it still says 2016, 2015. However, the numbers have changed from the previous budget, so I can only assume that that's a typo. So that's kind of what I'm going off of. And as of that, I just have kind of one question, and Mr. Florio, obviously I'm not going to give an answer on it, but our budget for the Bureau of Police Services is pretty much still there for our officers. It's only going down, according to my calculations, by approximately $7,000. I'm sorry, $700,000. Now, with that being said, this budget, there's a hearing on it for, obviously, the sheriff's budget, and that includes us because we are included in the sheriff's budget. And if that passes tonight of $78.5 million, what happens to that money after we meet with the sheriff on Friday and we do come to some type of deal and in some miraculous fashion, we do get laid off on June 12th and we do take a pay cut? Does that money for us go back to the taxpayers or get pulled from the sheriff's budget? Or does that get to stay there so that it could be some type of election, look what I did, I saved all this money come next year? That's kind of one of the questions I have with that money. I mean, last year we were paid out, Bureau of Police Services, $11.7 million, and this year the budget is proposed as $11 million. So, I mean, and I know we've had retirements. We just had 2 officers retire this month, June 1st, and we have officers retired previous to that. So I'm curious as to where that money's going. Also, one of the things when the county executive proposed the budget, Freeholder Sullivan had questioned the unfunded mandate of the county executive, and he said that they are under the 2% cap this year. They are not having a problem with any finances to mandate, to finance that for this year. And he did say, moving forward, it's going to be difficult, but there's no problem with that. And you even, Freeholder Sullivan, you commended him for tackling it pretty well. And he said they're not having a problem. So why is the sheriff telling us that there's a 2% cap for this mandate when the county executive himself is saying there's not a problem this year? Where is this coming from? One of the other things I want you to think of too is, if you look at it moving forward, you need to hire 35 more sheriff's officers. Our contract now is more lucrative, is more efficient and economical to hire officers under. We have 13 steps, they have 9. They pay Social Security, we do not. If you're not aware, well, I'm sure you're aware of it, but that's 6% on every officer. 6%. For an officer at their side and our side, that's $8,000 per officer at top pay, times 35 for the next 25, 30 years. We don't have that. We don't pay for that. If you move us over, that's $8,000 per officer that's going to have to take that the county's going to have to take into account. So we have 13 steps and no Social Security. By the time in 7 years, if these sheriff's officers continue to get the raises that they get, in 7 years, they will have exceeded my salary now when we're frozen. However, in 13 steps, they will not have exceeded it. They'll still be below what they're making right now. And now, I'm not saying the officers now do that, but moving forward, the new officers, that's possible. And again, as you said, with the litigation ongoing with this, I know we have a meeting with the sheriff. I implored you last time to, please take some type of active role so that we can come to some kind of accord that's beneficial to everybody involved. So no more litigation has to be filed. I mean, Ms. Elston's firm since 2015 has been paid $445,000 by the county of Bergen, by the taxpayers of Bergen. When this was something that this freeholder board and the county executive during their campaign said wouldn't happen. And I know Mr. Bernstein has been paying $540,000, and I know he has been handling some of the cases against us as well. We don't want to do this because we're incurring those monies just like you and the county and the taxpayers are as well. We want to come to some type of accord. We're looking forward to that. Just this budget, the numbers don't add up. I've been going through it and seeing what the sheriff's been paid over the last year, including what his budget is, what our budget was in 2014 and what it is now. Our budget continually goes down, and moving forward with the pool of officers that you have, our budget, those 74 officers are going to continue to go down. That cost is going to continue to go down with 74 officers. Retirements, obviously we're frozen in our pay. You hire 35 plus officers, because that's what you're going to need to replace us, it's going to continue to go up, without a doubt.
Speaker's time has expired, Chairman.
All right, again, I thank you very much for hearing me. Hopefully, after we meet with the sheriff's attorney on Friday, I won't have to come before you again. I really hope that's the case. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job, Chris.
William Thompson?
Certainly will. T-H-O-M-S-O-N. Thank you. Madam Chairwoman, I would ask that you pay particular attention because what I have to say tonight is to you, about you, and through you to your colleagues. During the course of events, there are times when individuals meet and they are on the same level, and as one gets elevated, and that is you, the other person recalls very vividly the conversation you have at that first meeting. And that first meeting that we had, you were running for Freeholder at the time. It was your first time running for Freeholder. And being someone who's somewhat keen on politics and admiring the art of campaigning, I asked you why you were running. And your response to me was that you wanted the opportunity to do something positive in the lives of the people of Bergen. That was your response. My response to that tonight is these police officers are people of Bergen County as well. I come here because I'm a veteran. And I stand with my veterans, shoulder to shoulder, wherever we may go and whatever battle we may have. And I will continue to stand with them. I'm not going to get in the middle of what's going on right now as far as the legal matter. I'll wait, see what happens. But I will tell you that in my 30-plus years being involved in politics, that the people who have darkened my path in a negative way, I can tell you with the exception of only 2 people, have never won re-election yet. Period. Again, don't fall over on me. I appreciate you and your work and the way you stand for veterans and this well. But I can tell you that it's not a matter of friendship. Because when I say darken my path, I mean both sides of the aisle. I don't pick and choose. But I will continue to fight for our veterans. I will do everything I can to persuade people to make that a major point in how they vote as to how veterans are being treated by governing bodies. And so I will wait until after the dust settles. But as the dust settles, be assured that if it doesn't settle in the right way, on behalf of the veterans who have served their country and don't deserve to be demoted for anything that they have actually done wrong, just because somebody becomes the sheriff and thinks he's king and decides that who he wants to have working and who he doesn't want to have working, I will come back. But when I come back and the campaign starts, I will tie everyone to every campaign in the state of New Jersey. Just want you to know that. Thank you very much for your time.
Evening, folks. Bill Bergen, 14 Iowa Road, Wayne, New Jersey.
I'm sorry, what was it?
14 Iowa Road, Wayne, New Jersey.
Thanks. When did you move the?
I've been here a number of times, and it seems like each and every time I come here, there's some sort of conflict that's emanating from your side of this room, where there's an agreement that was made or a law that was passed, and for some reason the County of Bergen can't honor its agreements, or can't abide the Constitution, or can't just do what makes sense for the taxpayers. I mean, we're looking at a situation here where the numbers, they don't lie. Somebody lies, but the numbers don't. I mean, I was told that when this merger happened, you were going to save $5 million. And on that basis, you disbanded a functioning and productive police department and merged it in with the sheriff's department. And now I look at the budget, and in that budget, you broke out security and you moved it away, so it's a separate line item in your budget. And could I know what that note says?
No.
Well, this is a public meeting.
That's right.
It's your time to speak.
It's your time, Mr.
I
President.
understand, but if you're passing notes back and forth during the meeting, and you're getting advice of counsel while I'm speaking, it sort of undermines, you said that.
There's nothing in
Alright.
with advice of counsel.
Okay.
Mr. Brennan. I stopped the clock for you for this little call.
I appreciate that.
Continue.
Well,
let's go back to the map. Every county in the state of New Jersey is faced with the same bail reform issue as Bergen County. But only one county has to take the drastic step of laying off seasoned police officers and hiring green rookies. And at the long term, you just heard the president of the PBA inform you that that 6.2% contribution that you're going to have to make on behalf of sheriff's officers that you currently do not have to make on behalf of police officers is an added cost. But not only that, you're going to have to pay, while you're putting these rookies through the academy and paying them a pension and paying them salaries and providing them benefits, and you're making contributions to their Social Security account, while you're doing that and they're in Mawa at the academy, you're going to have laid off police officers collecting unemployment insurance. And because you're self-insured for unemployment for police officers, it's going to come directly out of your budget. So when somebody comes before you and says the math doesn't add up and the numbers don't lie, implicitly you have to ask, who is lying here? And if you don't want to ask that question, I'm going to answer it for you. Sheriff Saudino is a liar. He is not doing this because there's a budget problem. And I don't know why it is that you guys just can't say, hey, Sheriff, nice try, but peace is more important because you're declaring war. You're declaring war on your own people. You're declaring war on people who serve you and protect you and serve this community, serve this county, and protect this county. And nobody has said anything about the quality of police services that they provide. Nobody is saying that there's a merit and fitness issue here. Nobody is saying that there's an issue with the way they're performing their duties. It's all about, for lack of a better word, a pissing contest that Sheriff Saudino has decided to enter.
3 minutes, Mr. Bergen.
And I don't want to make it a regular thing. I've been busy lately, but this is not going to go away, and neither am I. I'm just going to keep coming back. I'll come back as much as Mr. Tompkins there comes back, and I'll try and bring more people back. And if need be, I'll institute recall proceedings with the help of people who live in this county against each and every person on this dais who backs a liar. So just don't back the liar. Tell the truth and do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Rob Herman from 6 Street, Model, New Jersey.
Sounds like your name.
Yeah. Great thing is you have to hear from me twice tonight because of the budget too. Wonderful. Because of the 3 minutes and what goes on, you don't get a chance to go through as many of these resolutions as you see. So at the last meeting, I looked at Resolution 451-17, resolution authorizing legal services contract with the law office of Scarsini and Hollenbeck to provide legal representation to the County of Bergen for EPA and NJ DEP investigations, the Police Academy firing range model. Generally when, I don't know, I've been sitting there on the other side too as a freeholder, when you hire an attorney for doing something, it's because Mr. Florio or our county council has got something that they can't handle because there's more concern than meets the average eye, which is what I had stated here at the last meeting and asked for help at our town and basically was given a blank stare, kind of the one you're giving me now. Bottom line is, you know what, I would love to know where we're going to go with this because when I asked for all the resolutions and everything that came through for my OPA request, I did notice that Resolution 1488- from 2015, the resolution to reject all bids for the remediation for the center was omitted. And the reason was for cost savings. Can someone explain to me why this was omitted and why this was not spoken about when I came in here the last time? We have talked about cost savings. So what was this cost savings? Because it sure sounds like we're going to spend a lot more money on cost savings now that we have an attorney involved and that we already have a DEP and the EPA up here. So I must be missing something. Where's all this great cost savings for you guys from 2015? Again, more blank stares.
I
I'd like to get a bottom line on this of what it's cost us so far, find out where we are, why we have an attorney in this, and what the exact cost savings was, and how much we've saved so far on this lead remediation that was being done by our county with people who are not certified to handle lead, which I am sure, like I said, OSHA would just love this, all right, that our county workers are handling lead. This doesn't make sense to me, and not one of you has said anything, asked anything, or looked into this to investigate it, which I think is despicable. As for the budget, there was nothing that that gentleman asked you that you could not answer. I don't care about litigation. There is nothing in there in that budget that has not been asked, or that he asked that you couldn't answer. There's $11 million in there. The $11 million is for these officers, which means you're going to pay for a full salary for them. You have their full salaries in there for the full year, which I don't understand. Because if you're cutting their salaries as of June 12th, why is the taxpayer not saving the money? I don't get it. Where's this going? Because to me, when you're hiring a sheriff's officer coming in the first year, that salary is going to be way less than a seasoned county police officer who you're about to lay off.
3 minutes, Mr. Herman.
I'll be back.
Thank you.
I have questions on the budget, but I'd like to know why you didn't answer the questions on the budget. Because to me, those are questions that are absolutely right for him to know what's going on. And there was nothing in here about litigation, which is a concern. So basically what you're telling me is that when we come up to discuss the budget, you're all going to say nothing about the budget either and talk to us on this? Because his questions were legit. And there should have been an answer to them. Because that's what happens. It's a public meeting. This is questions for him to understand what's going on. So why were there no answers?
3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Hermanson. Mr. Hess, do you wish to comment regarding the lead issue,
With regard to the retention.
the retention of counsel?
So the level of the investigation that the EPA is undertaking now, and with regard to aspects, actually, I think, Mayor, that you had spoken some things publicly about the environmental issues there. We don't have strictly environmental counsel in county counsel's office, and to the level that the investigation has reached, and in terms of interviews and things that they wanted to do with county employees with regard to activities that took place at the facility in terms of the remediation and prior history there, those employees, and also with regard to having the full breadth of the investigation and appropriately responding to EPA as far as whatever steps that they're going to want. A lot of the issues that they brought up are legal issues and not just issues of health, because we do have health officers and we do have licensed site remediation professionals who are under contract with the county. But in terms of specifically addressing the legal issues, it's in the county's best interest and basically in Wildlife's best interest that there be experienced EPA counsel that are dealing with EPA throughout their investigation.
And I would agree with you completely on that, which is also why I think that there should have been people who are qualified remediation experts in order to remediate the site. Wouldn't that make sense? As opposed to having our own employees doing it? Didn't make much sense, and considering the fact that you have listed here as cost savings, doesn't that open us up now for a situation where we're talking about trying to save money instead of doing what was right on this board?
So,
Mr. Neal, was this
so
been-
the council issue or what?
No.
I'm not understanding what the question was.
The question is that when we had Resolution 1488, which was omitted from my pile on the OPA request, which said the resolution was to reject all bids for remediation due to cost savings. My question is, how were we rejecting it for cost savings? What were we doing in order to come up with the cost savings? Were we going to have our own employees handle this lead? Because from what I understand, professionals are supposed to be using, and only professionals should be remediating lead.
As far as remediation is concerned, yes, but are you familiar with the guidelines, EPA guidelines, as far as whether you're going to sift lead or whether you're actually going to
Vacuuming or
remediate?
sifting, absolutely.
Right.
I
So
know the
then you-
policy very well.
Right, so then you know all of those activities don't require licensed remediation professionals.
When you, to handle the actual lead though, it does, yes.
So the sifting part, you're aware of what's required for the sifting part?
On the sifting part, not necessarily have to, but on the
Right.
part of handling the lead once it comes out of the pile,
Right.
yes.
So-
And from what I've seen in that pile, or the pictures that were there, the lead is still in the pile. So
Well,
I
And the
must
pile's
honestly
been
say,
removed.
Yeah, the pile's.
the pile's gone now,
Yeah.
but my point is, someone moved it, and it wasn't professional, and the lead was in the pile, and the
Right,
EPA has
but you
approved
understand
it
that that's
there.
that, but the sifting and the lead, as far as those portions are concerned, that's not the part of the incident that concerns the EPA.
The part that is their concern is that the lead was still in the pile. There was still lead in that pile.
But you understand that there's the distinction between the sifting activities that took place and then the removal of the lead from the site.
Right, and the disposal of the point
Right,
is,
that's
from
the
what it
disposal
looks
I'm
like,
referring to is.
from what it looks like,
removal
is
of the
that
site.
there wasn't much sifting done. It looks like that there was a pile that was taken out, removed, put somewhere, left, which is the reason why when the EPA came in and there were high levels of lead there, because the lead was still in there, which means it was never sifted, it was never done, which means we had employees handling piles of lead.
Mr. Nielsen, has the administration complied with every regulation of the EPA?
Yes, we have.
And have you met the requirements
have,
that
yes.
they have required in order to make sure that the environmental concerns that are there in Malma have been rectified?
Yes, and in part of this discussion has been that a lot of what has been projected to the public in terms of what the potential threats are, I think there's been some misconception between the activities that occurred on the property and what was required as far as environmental professionals handling it. And I think that's what's created some of the misconception about some of the potential dangers from it. And I just think there should be clarity on it. I know we're not going to reach it at this point, but that's what I think.
No,
Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Hermanson.
You did say something earlier about it being from prior situations,
Okay.
right, from prior cases.
Mr. Hermanson, your
All I'm
time is
saying
up.
is that, you know, it should have
We've
been
given
done
you-
for the right this time and not done because of a cost savings method.
Thank you,
I'd like
Mr.
to know who
Hermanson.
signed off on that and whose reasoning and who gave permission to make the cost savings, which department head.
Lorraine
Whoever it is
Powell?
Put your
should be
over
fired.
Lorraine Powell?
Lorraine Powell, Powell.
Thank you.
I'm going to read a letter that I had written to the county executive. I'd like to put it in the minutes. I also have a copy for the clerk, so. Thank you. Fresco, New Jersey.
Thank you.
I'm a Lakota member. I've been a Lakota member for over 20 years. Yeah, I wrote this letter on April 20th. It was put in the mail on April 21st. I have not received any type of response. So I'd like it noted to be put into the minutes, please. Dear Mr. Tedesco, I am writing you this letter to express my concern about the lack of appointments to the Bergen County Lakota Board for the last 2 years. As a longtime Lakota member, over 20 years, I am surprised and discouraged over the difficulties we are encountering in attempting to get our 4 interested parties appointed. As you may be aware, the Lakota Board is voluntary in nature, and we deal with sensitive issues regarding treatment and prevention of alcoholism and drug addiction in our county. Bergen County receives the most funding from the State Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, more than any other county. Unfortunately, we have been in non-compliance for over 2 years, which has been noted by the State Department on our monitoring reports. We currently have 4 volunteers waiting to be appointed, one of which is Roger Soger, who is faithful in attending meetings even though he cannot vote on any issues. All of our prospective appointees have been properly vetted by the committee, completed the required online application, and submitted the resumes. Our county coordinator, Suma Cheese-Debiak, has assured us that she repeatedly has brought this issue up to the director and that the county office is aware of the problem. Each month, the lack of appointments is brought up at our meetings, and Ms. Debiak informs us that all proper channels have been followed and that the county office is aware of the problem. Yet the appointments are still not made. I find this very discouraging and am embarrassed to repeatedly have our board be in non-compliance year after year. I urge you to please act on this matter so that we may have a full quorum as required by the State Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
I am hopeful that by making you aware of this problem, it will encourage you to resolve this issue. Mayor Powell. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Also, according to the state guidelines, we are supposed to have a representative from the probation department, I guess the probation department, from the department there, and we have not had one since David Duke left about 2 years ago. Okay, so it was supposed to have somebody coming from their office too. That doesn't need to be appointed, that just should be assigned to come to our meetings. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Would you give me a copy of that?
Edward Durfee?
Thank you.
Thank you, Edward Durfee, Northvale. I too am here to, actually the second time I've come before this board regarding our Licata appointments. I believe I was here back in November or December of last year. I was assured by the then county administrator that he would look into it, and we are really down to a handful of people, 4 or 5 people that you are forcing. Well, we're not really forced to, but we do come out faithfully each month to our Licata meeting, and we're supposed to do the business of Licata, and we don't have our full, not staff, but we don't have our full complement of volunteers. And it's not because there's a lack of volunteers, it's just that, for whatever reason, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when we changed the volunteer process, it seemed like everything halted. We weren't able to get in volunteers. In fact, we're being asked to sign off on minutes based on a quorum that we have when there's only 4 out of the 12 people that were required by state law to have 12 people on that board. And as Lorraine was speaking to, she was speaking to the prosecutor's office and the probation office. We used to have, I think it was Daniel Peck before he moved on to actually wherever he went to. But he used to come to our meeting and he would be there with us. And I've spoken to Freeholder Sullivan about this, and I believe that you yourself, Ms. Sir, are the chairman of the health services. Does that cover Licata? So I was hoping, we're here because, we're at the point where we're being asked to perform a duty and sign off on minutes and do all these things as volunteers, and yet we're not in compliance. So, how would you feel if it was your situation up there, if you were being asked to do your duty and you have no compliance? And your situation would be even, more critical than ours, I'm sure. So we're here to appeal for that. Whoever has to hear it, we're here again, once again, 6 months, and we'll come back in 6 months more if we have to.
No, hopefully we'll have it rectified.
Whatever it takes, we're here, and we're not gonna give up, so.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
All right, thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Paul Nichols?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Paul Nichols. I emailed some people. I think this is really important. First of all, as you know, first, I am a mental health client myself in CommCare. I didn't include this in the email because I did not have a scanner to do that. But Vantages, the mental health agencies are sending this out. Well, I'm a mental health consumer first, as you know, client, I'm a mental health consumer. And second, I'm an advocate. So it's always a consumer, client first. I know I only have 3 minutes. I find it very serious about these letters, and I asked for input, and I only got 2 responses back from some experts, and they didn't agree with what I am thinking about. I'm getting, as you know, the letters, we all know that it's going to be cuts, and I know you guys raised the funding for mental health, but still what's going to be cut is going to be significant. And these letters are terrifying to people. I got one myself, and it probably won't even apply to me. And that's when it really hit me, when I got the letter. I knew something was going to happen. I'm going to give you a copy of all this. But I really, really want a commitment from someone on the board. And I think you'll agree that, one, please ask doctors, therapists, social workers, caseworkers, from this point on, and because as far as I know, government works is, you guys do the budget, so you are the governing body that oversees where the money goes, so you're kind of responsible for the agencies that you contract to. So, I mean, I don't know about government, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why I'm bringing it to you guys. I implore you guys to ask 3 questions, have them ask 3 questions to every client that comes in, to all the agencies. A, did you get the letter? 2, do you understand it? And C, do you have any concerns? Because I've been getting people contacting me just yesterday. Someone went hysterically crying to a counselor at another agency that they're going to lose their services. And I can appreciate this, them getting the word out, and as we all did, and the county executive went to the budget hearing and showed how many people may lose, but the way they handled this with the letters is scaring people, and I'm getting people contacting me about this, and I feel bad. You know, if I really want you to, maybe you could forward that email and try and read one of these letters while listening to what social workers listen to while they're learning about it. And that is, I mean, a person, when they hear, you know, your service is going to may be stopped, and I mean, I've had people contact me in all kinds of forms throughout the last, since it's been gone out. And so, thank you. I'm just going to say, please, I'm going to give you a copy of all this, and please have them ask their clients to do this, because I think it's very important.
Mr. Nichols, I just want to clarify one thing. These letters, and I've read them because I've seen them as well, they're being sent to try and encourage advocacy in state government, because that's where these decisions regarding fee-for-service, the shift for fee-for-service is coming from. And that's the intent. So if you could pass along to those who are talking to you about this, that we don't know specifically, and I don't think any of these organizations know specifically how these cuts are going to affect them as at this point in time. But these letters are attempted to get them engaged, to advocate, to reach out to their state legislators, and to reach out to the governor's office to try and the commissioner of health to try and get them to use their voices to advocate on behalf of the continuation of
Yes,
services.
I mean, I totally understand, and I agree with you. I mean, you have to get it out some way. But what I'm saying is someone with a mental illness won't go that far. And if they have nobody to talk to, picture someone with schizophrenia. They're paranoid. They're not going to reach out. So you need a therapist to calm them.
And I hear you, but I'm asking you to be part of the good information being disseminated. Thank you so much, Mr. Nichols. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the general public who wishes to be heard at this point in time? Can I have a motion then to close the meeting to the general public?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The meeting stands closed to the general public. Will the clerk please read the resolutions on the consent agenda?
Resolutions for consent are 454-17, 456-17 through 463-17.
Can I have a motion to accept the resolutions on the consent agenda as read by the clerk? All in favor? Aye. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Amoroso.
Yes.
Freeholder Hands. Freeholder Ortiz. Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Tinelli.
Yes.
Freeholder Voss. Chairwoman Zerb.
Yes.
7 ayes.
Agenda passes. Are there any resolutions of non-consent pulled, postponed, tabled, and if so, will the clerk please read?
One resolution of non-consent, that is 455-17. The purpose is a resolution authorizing the adoption of the 2017 budget from the Administration and Finance Department.
Right, that budget will now be heard. Can we have a motion to open the meeting to the public regarding the budget, the hearing on the budget?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The meeting stands open to the public regarding the issues of the budget. This will only the issues of the budget only. There will be a 5-minute time limit in effect in accordance with the Bergen County Freeholder bylaws. The board attorney will keep the time, and when the time of the speaker expires, the timekeeper will announce that the time has expired. If you can, please fill out a form, on the paper with your name and address and what you were speaking on in regards to the budget. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard in regards to the budget?
It's supposed to be on.
It is on. There we go. That's better.
Hello.
Much better.
Now I'd like to sing for you a song that I learned now. Okay. We have an opportunity here. Every year the budget is an opportunity to do something productive with the resources, the scarce resources that the county has. And for the past 2 years, you've been putting money in the budget for legal fees, and some of those legal fees include a lawsuit that I'm a plaintiff in because I was denied access to this building, allegedly because it was a polling place. It wasn't election day. Now, a judge at the U.S. District Court in Newark issued a restraining order. I was not going to sue you. I was waiting until the other litigants in this trial, in this matter, had gotten that restraining order made permanent. And 2 years after the incident, you were still in court with the litigants who were members of the Sheriff's Department, who were denied access to this building in violation of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. And I don't know what it is about that restraining order that you refuse to make permanent, but by taking 2 years, you forced me to bring litigation against this county in order to ensure that no other person in the future will decide that they can arbitrarily declare this building to be a polling place when it's not even election day. Now, that ship sailed. You can't avoid having litigation with me, and we're going to go to trial. And that's going to be very expensive, and that's part of your budget. And you've had tons of money to give to Mr. Carbone, and you've got tons of money to give to Ms. Elston. You've got tons of money to give to Mr. McCann. You've got tons of money to give to Mr. Dakotas, who was an unindicted co-conspirator in a criminal conspiracy with, you can say whatever you want, but do not interrupt me. Do not interrupt me, sir. I have 3 minutes, and you're interrupting me.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay, and I have not exceeded the 5 minutes, and I am not taking advice from you. You're not my attorney, and I will say what I want, and I would like that time back. Mr. Dakotas is an unindicted co-conspirator in a criminal conspiracy along with Donald Skorinsky and Kenneth Hollenbach and Joe Ferriero. And that involved the Xanadu complex and Hartz Mountain in an office in Teaneck, New Jersey. Now that happened. That man was part of an extortion plot. He was the conduit. He accepted the bribes from his client and he paid out the extortion to the attorneys. And if he has a problem with me saying this, counsel for the Board of Chosen Freeholders shouldn't be defending him. He should sue me, along with Angelo Genova, who backdated evidence in the matter of Brennan versus Teaneck. Tell him. Bring it on. I would love the subpoena authority to get sued by those two for calling them people who have committed crimes. And I'm here saying it openly and notoriously. Two of the well-respected lions of the legal community in New Jersey are frauds and crooks and are terrible people for doing what they did. And you're paying them, but laying off these guys. And I don't know where your budget priorities come from, but where I come from, people who tell the truth, who honor their agreements, are the ones that you gravitate towards. Not people who engage in extortion, who backdate evidence in criminal matters, who backdate evidence in civil matters, and then blame it on their associates. These things are happening under your nose, and you're tainted by it. You're all tainted by it. You're going to go to war with these people if you're not careful. And nobody wins in a war. You'll cause pain. No question about it. You want to inflict pain on members of this community, you can do that. You've been entrusted with power. But if you're inflicting pain at no upside to the taxpayers, because the numbers don't add up, you're going to spend more on litigation. You're going to spend money on unemployment insurance. You're going to spend money on putting people in the academy who don't get paid. You're going to lose this department to attrition and the people under that contract anyway. It's just a matter of time before they leave. Forcing them out now and alleging it's a budgetary matter is dishonest. Now, I don't know what more I can say to you to avoid the litigation. I waited 2 years in my case, and you refused to say that nobody can declare this building a polling place on days that aren't election day. You refused to do that. And you had no problem giving Mr. Carbone dollar after dollar after dollar after dollar. And you're continuing to give dollar after dollar after dollar after dollar. You filed another motion yesterday in that case. What's the problem here? Are you trying to enrich these attorneys? Are they giving you campaign contributions? Are they giving campaign contributions to the county? Are they giving campaign contributions to people that you support? Are they giving campaign contributions to political action committees? What is it with these lawyers? Everything they tell you to do costs you money. Did they tell you not to settle with the Romero and those other guys that are suing you? Did they say keep that going? Because they have made more money than it would have cost you to settle. And I'm not settling for less than the lawyers got. So this is where you are with this confrontational, divisive behavior that you've engaged in. You're not going to survive this. I can guarantee it. Your political careers will suffer if you don't do what's right.
Is there anyone else? You have 5 minutes, Mr. Hermanson.
Numbers, my favorite part. You know, I gotta tell you, the numbers don't add up. So someone here needs to tell us what actually is going on. This is a discourse between us and the budget, so you need to explain to the people and who watching, who are on television, and you know, and as David was, you know, budget chair for a couple of times while I was on the board, you know, the numbers right now don't make sense. If you're looking to lay off these individuals, which you did put in a resolution that you passed at a, you know, at a work session, which, you know, is just typical. But bottom line is, where's the money? You have $11 million in for the county police, yes or no?
Mr. Hermanson, the advice that...
No, this is a budget.
I understand that,
No.
Mr. Hermanson, but you're...
Mr. Florio, this is not about, they have a right to answer the question on the budget.
And you're addressing issues that are part of a record that is a matter of litigation.
This is a budget. No, this is budget.
It's a budget.
This is the
You're
budget.
asking about budget and the county police, which is a matter in litigation.
The county police and what they're being is different. This is a budget item right now, yes or no? Is it in the budget? Is there money in the budget for the county police, yes or no? That means it's public. No, it's public. Don't lie to me, all right? Don't sit there and try to play privilege here with attorney privilege and client privilege and be quiet on this. That's a lie. You're lying to us again. This is a public meeting over a budget, okay? And I am discussing something that's on a line item in the budget. I would like to know what's on that line item. Is the county police funded at $11 million in that budget? Has there been any cuts? Yes or no? This is real simple. This is not something that has to worry about litigation. These are facts.
It's a fair question.
Yes or no is the money in the budget for the police?
It's a fair question.
I mean...
Is the question, are they funded at the same level?
Right now, as of January 1st, when you funded the budget, when you were looking for budget from January 1st to December 31st, are the current right now the $11 million, is that for the current employees that work in the police department?
So is the question, is the reduction in force reflected in the Bureau of Police Services?
That is correct.
Sheriff's budget?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So the $11 million that is there right now from the beginning that they're showing for the line item for that, that's with reductions? That's with the reductions from June 12th going forward if these men and women are cut?
So rather than going back and forth, we can have the CFO come up and go over the sections. I don't want to take your
that's
time.
Perfect.
So
that's the way it should be.
Well, let's talk for a second. So with regard to the specific sections, with regard to that, we can have the CFO address that.
I think that's
but I don't
great.
want to eat into your time if you have other budget questions.
No, the budget question strictly I'm having is over this, where we are, because to me, If you're looking to make this decision as of June 12th, then there should be savings, and it should be reflected in the budget. If you're not going to make these cuts, and they're still here, then the money is in the budget, which then should be something that you guys should negotiate for these men and women to keep their jobs, knowing that you're not making the cuts, that there's no cuts being made anyhow. The money is there. Then the opportunity is there for you guys to come forward, sit down, discuss a deal, and make it happen. It makes sense, and all I'm asking for is the money there? Yes or no? Which I don't think is anything to do with litigation. So I disagree with you vehemently, Mr. Florio. Could you help me, please?
Joseph Lupino, CFO. For the division total, last year the total budget for the division was $11,898,798. This year, the division is $11,096,969. So there's an $801,829 reduction this year, which is reflected of the
retirements from the people who retired.
There's retirement. There is a line on. There's a reduction in the termination of $1.1 million, 1.183. However, there is also people that are laid off. They're due terminal leave. There's accrued sick time on there, so that's reflected. That's an addition.
But that would be a different line item. Well, because termination pay would be on a different line item, would go through salaries at the time, because you don't know that they're there. It's in a different line item.
The terminal pay is budgeted in, now because of the new 2% cap, terminal pay is part of all the constitutional officers have budgeted terminal pay, so that's in there. It's in the overall salary numbers. So there is an increase in terminal pay because those officers are due accrued sick time.
But you're showing, what, $621,000 for that?
That's an estimate, yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at $621,000, which means that as of June, if we're looking to lay off these officers, there's probably between $2.5 to $3 million still in the salaries that would be given if they're looking to retire those, they're getting laid off. So the bottom line is it's not reflected here. The money is still there. The money is in the budget for a full salary as of January 1st through the end of the year, because the salaries that you saw, the $800,000, is from the retirees from last year.
No, that's incorrect. The termination is the terminal pay. I'm sorry. The termination reduction is almost $1.2 million.
So
that is a reduction.
That's $1.1 million. You're telling me is for 6 months retirement for reduction for 30 some odd police officers for 5.5 months.
For about 5 months, yes.
It doesn't. That number doesn't add up. It just doesn't. I mean, if you look at the salaries at $60,000, even if they were making $120,000 each, at $60,000 times 30 some odd officers, I mean, you're looking at about $1.5 million. Not to mention benefits and your terminal pay. But bottom line is, where's the money then going for the other? Is it reflected back in for the sheriff's officers for the other 35 who are retiring?
Yeah, the 35 officers are additions to the sheriff.
And is that line item gone up now since January?
That's 5 minutes, Mr. Herman.
I think
with a lot of extra
Well,
time.
we actually paused it through Mr. Lupino's entire answers to your questions to make sure that you got the answers.
These are my questions, and this is where I was told that I wasn't allowed to ask the questions by Mr. Florio.
And we have given you a lot of latitude. Thank you, Mr. Lupino, for your
So
guidance.
is the money in there?
Yeah, the money for the new officers are.
How much did it go up since January? From where? Because it should be reflected in there from where it
We are
was.
happy for you to submit any of your questions to us in writing, Mr. Hermanson.
So it's not
Is there
there.
anyone else who wishes to be heard as far as the budget is concerned?
Well, you guys are good at this. I gotta tell you, you're so good. You smile and sit here and dumb looks. It's just
Thank you, Mr.
ridiculous.
Hermanson. Mr. Weston, you wish to speak?
So,
Yes.
you should all be voted out. Useless. Every one of you is useless.
Since this whole thing started, I've been coming before this
Do it
board.
at large.
I've been coming before the media asking for nothing more than a fair and good faith effort to try to speak with the sheriff to try to work this out and negotiate with him and come to a fair deal. I've just learned that the reduction is already there in the budget, as per the county administrator, as per also the CFO. So how am I supposed to go before the sheriff's attorney on June 2nd and negotiate in good faith, when I was just informed that the money is already been reduced for the officer's reduction? Is that not what he said? Am I misunderstanding?
No, you're not misunderstanding, but that does not bar an opportunity to have a discussion with the sheriff.
So it's just a discussion, it's not a negotiation or a back and
You would
forth?
have a negotiation there, the budget, and just to remember, the budget is a blueprint document.
Okay.
And if there are amendments that need to be made to a budget throughout the course of any time, let's say hypothetically we were gonna hire 35 sheriff's officers and we only got 17 sheriff's officers in.
Yes.
There would be an adjustment in terms of what actually happened against the plan. So the budget doesn't become a document that says you have no abilities to make any changes, that you don't have the ability to make a discussion that would lead to some amendment in the budget. So that should not be the thinking from that standpoint.
I hope not, because I don't want that to be the thing, because as I said, I want this to move forward. I hope it's not, I really do.
Is the budget being adopted tonight?
But just from an observance with regard to that status, and there was already a statement made by Mr. Florio with regard to the litigation that has been filed. I would just urge you to have a conversation with your attorney just with regard to the ability to have discussions now that litigation has been filed. And you should work with your attorney so they can have the appropriate conversations with the Sheriff's Council. So hopefully there would be an opportunity to still have discussions going forward.
Okay.
But with some of the documents that have been filed by your attorney, you should just have a conversation with him to get an assessment whether that prevents any bars now or impediments or hurdles to having a discussion.
Well, the unfortunate part of this whole thing is that we should have negotiated before these officers received their civil service notices that they're getting laid off June 2nd. That would have been the fair and good faith way to do it. Instead, we see it as a threat and an intimidation tactic. Now, all of our officers yesterday received in the mail at their homes the fact that June 2nd, the close of business, June 12th, the close of business, they are without a job, or they've been demoted, loss of pay, whatever it might be, depending on the officer. That, again, leaves us no other choice moving forward than to file these litigations because we weren't given any other option prior to that. So, that's it. Thank you.
Is there any other one who wishes to speak regarding the budget? Mr. Nichols.
Paul Nichols. Just to be really brief, since it is budget, I want to thank you for raising mental health. And I see Tom Freeholder Sullivan's got his green lanyard on. So, you know, it's really important, and I know you know how really important it is. And with my conscience, I just have to say that, you know, my peers, up to 7,000, our peers, our residents, up to 7,000 that have mental health. I just want them to know that we have their back, and some of them will not talk. So that's why I'm just asking that. But we're on the same side. I mean, I love the fact that you raised mental health. Now it's up to the state. But we need to do our part and think of how someone with mental illness feels. And I'm not saying you don't, but you know what I mean. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nichols. Seeing no one else who wishes to speak from the public? Oh, there is? Okay. On the budget?
Yeah. Hi, this is Kathy Callahan.
Is it a C or a K, Kathy?
Kathy with a K.
Okay.
Callahan, Callahan. And I also have an alias, Letty, Leddy, Kathy Letty Callahan. I think in the budget there should be allocation for victims of, let's say, being run off the road. I was run off the road on Friday on 208 North at the inception of 208 North, all the way to Lincoln Avenue by what I identified, because I'm an expert now, as a unmarked police car. I was tailgated. Just check me out. I was tailgated from Bear Lawn.
Ms. Callahan, on the budget, please.
It's the budget. I'm not in your budget. These problems are not in your budget.
But that's what this is to speak.
This is about, there should be an allocation and a consideration for somebody who was then cut off, literally cut off, right at Lincoln Avenue. Like this.
Ms. Callahan, that's not a budget question.
It is. There should be something in the budget.
It's a personal issue.
It's not personal. If it's happening to me, it's happening to others.
It's not a line item in the budget or anything related to any line item.
Personal safety,
It's not a budget.
it's on a county road.
I understand that. I don't want to split hairs with you, ma'am.
No,
I'm really not speaking.
I'm not splitting hairs. I'm lucky I have hair, right? But it's not splitting hairs. There is no procedure in the budget to address someone who, I have most of the license plates.
Chairwoman, unfortunately, Ms. Callahan missed the public session. If you'd like to have a conversation with our freeholders at the end of the meeting, the conclusion of the
I love
meeting.
it.
Okay, but right now, this
It's
is
okay.
This is
specifically
supposed to be about
line
the
items
budget.
about
I know, but I
budget.
try to make a
Unfortunately,
point
you
on
missed
a
the
higher
public.
level.
Right. But
You
But
understand?
I understand, but it's not appropriate at this time. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Seeing
But
no, is there
I
anyone
never
else
give
who
up.
wishes to speak regarding to the budget? Motion to close the meeting to the public.
No.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The budget hearing is now closed. I just want to make one comment, which is, and the reason where the reflections in the budget are, is that it has always been our hope that every single one of these officers will continue to be employed by the county of Bergen. Thank you. Now there will be an opportunity for members of the Freeholder Board to make their comments regarding the budget. Kim, do you need a minute? Are you okay? You finished the budget? We're going to take a 5-minute recess so Kim's hands can rest. Can you have a motion? Second? All in favor? Aye. We stand adjourned for 5 minutes. Meeting is back in order.
On the record,
We had made a motion to be heard. We had made a motion to on the freeholder that we need to also have a hearing on the budget amendment. Is that correct, Mr. Lupino?
Yes.
So we need to have a motion, it's to take the motion off the public, to open the motion to the public.
To the public for hearing on the amendments.
Okay, so we need to open we need to open a hearing on the amendments to the budget. Second. All in favor? Aye.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are there any other separate items that would require a hearing?
No.
This is it.
Thank you.
You have the backup on the resolution.
Yes. This is, which number is this, Laura?
45617, resolution authorizing budget amendment.
45617, authorizing the budget amendment. We're now going to have a hearing in the general public with a 5-minute time limit in effect in accordance with the Bergen County Freeholders bylaws. The board attorney will keep the time, and when the speaker expires, he or she will be informed that the time has expired. If you wish to speak on the budget amendment, please fill out a slip of paper with your name, address, and the issue that you're speaking on. Seeing no one from the general public that wishes to be heard, can I have a motion to close the motion to the public? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The motion is now closed to the public. The hearing is now closed to the public. This was on the consent agenda, so we have already voted on this matter. Now we will have an opportunity for the freeholder to speak and address the issues regarding the budget. Freeholder Gans, do you wish to speak as budget chairman?
I do.
First. Please.
Okay. This is my 15th budget, and I've been chairman of the budget committee for most of that time. I can tell you that working with County Executive Tedesco has been an extraordinary experience and forward-thinking in terms of the way the budget has been brought before the board. We were of a mind to do a number of different things with this budget, one of which was to maintain our AAA bond rating, which in turn controls the long-term financial viability and security of the county. We trimmed over $1 million from the budget, and we were able to realize that amount of savings on many separate items. This includes legal fees by moving a number of items to in-house counsel, refinancing our county bonds in the manner that one would refinance a house, and the legal fees that were saved from moving in-house work that previously had done outside counsel is something that I've advocated for a very long time. We have been responsible for cutting substantial funds from the budget, and I can attest to the fact that this group of freeholders worked very hard. They worked early in the morning, late at night, and I can say as well that it shows the extent that technology can play a role in future freeholder issues. Because of the illness that I had suffered during this, one of the things that we were able to do was to have me function as the budget chair and appear at the hearing telephonically. This proved, I think, to be well worth our while. And I want to take the opportunity to thank Colonel Tinelli for advocating on behalf of this program at a time when nobody anticipated that there would be this type of need. I think that it was prescient of the forward thinking that is part of this. I also want to take a moment, if I may, to thank Joe Lupino and to thank Michael Bellucci for their outstanding work, and in particular, Mike Kaplan once again did outstanding work through the administration in providing answers to some of the key questions to me as to how the sheriff's office existed and how it was funded. There is no question that the work that we've done in this particular exhibit is going to set the pace and the tone for future work on the budget over the coming year. This, in fact, is a good presage to the 5-year budget plan, which we all agree, or should agree, is very necessary for us. That concludes my comments, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Gans, and thank you for your able chairmanship during this entire process. Freeholder Tinelli.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Well, first I'd like to thank Budget Chairman Gans, my colleagues, Mr. Lupino, County Executive, our County Administrator, Mike Bellucci and Mike Kaplan, along with our Jared and our staff. The budget process every year is a monumental task, and scheduling and coordinating and getting everybody in the same room so we can sit and hammer line by line is a monumental task, and everybody deserves a round of applause. And Lara as well, and as her staff, to make sure that everything's prepped and ready to go when we get here. This, in my opinion, this budget is a very responsible budget. It funds our priorities, education, mental health, addiction services, veterans, et cetera. These are all things that we've all, each and every one of us have championed over the course of our time here. One of the other things I'm extremely proud of is that we've worked with the county executive to make sure our parks and golf courses are funded, as this generates revenue for the rest of the county, expecting nearly $10 million in parks and golf revenue this year. That gives us an opportunity to reinvest that money and to continue to improve our county parklands and offer attractions like summer concerts, movies in the park, and Winter Wonderland. With the Parks Master Plan that I talk about each month close, I attended one of the most recent orientations to the level where we are now, and it's very exciting to see some of the plans and some of the possible opportunities that the county will have to increase the quality of life for our residents and our parks. Just to piggyback for a second, what Chairman Gantz mentioned is the 5-year plan. I can tell you that the first few years I've sat here, there was no look into the future. County Executive Tedesco is one of his goals. It has his department heads putting a 5-year plan together that's presented to us. It's a very helpful tool as we sit to see where these departments want to take their department over the next 5 years. Gives us an opportunity to decide where we should cut, where we shouldn't cut, when we're making those tough decisions on where to add and where to subtract. So I want to thank his administration for taking the time. He mentioned today in the work session that he's very optimistic that that document will improve as the years go on, as people get more and more accustomed to doing it, and it's basically a living document that will be changed as things change. And lastly, Chairwoman, I just wanted to mention that we got some great news today that due to new home construction and the rebounding in the housing market and commercial revitalization, the county has added roughly $4 billion to its overall net value of county properties, exceeding the growth of the county budget. As a result, people's county tax rate will decrease by $8.82 on a home valued at $465,000. That's astounding to think that in today's economic times and what's going on around the country, that this county could sit here and make that claim. It's just a credit to not only what we're doing here, but what the administration is doing on the other side of the hall. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Realtor Boss.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't want to reiterate what others have said, but I have to say special thanks to Joe Lupino for his outstanding work. I mean, this is not an easy job. And of course, your staff is also fantastic. The department heads and the division heads were wonderful too. Everybody came very well prepared. And David, as always, you were an outstanding chair, so that was wonderful. He also, another good thing was that we worked very closely with the county executive, and we did function as a team, and this is so important if you really want to get things done. We were able to take over $1 million out from the original budget, but very thankfully, something very near and dear to my heart is education. And we were able to restore funding to Bergen Community College after cuts back from the previous administration. And one of the wonderful things is Bergen Community provides the type of curriculum that will lead to jobs, and particularly in the health professions. And so we're doing a very good job in terms of really providing the leadership for where people need to go educationally. I'm very committed to special services, and I have to thank the superintendent, Dr. Howard Lerner, who has done so many wonderful things to provide the best education for kids with special needs. And also, we have done some very innovative ways to save money by bringing a lot of the districts to share curriculums. And our technical schools, our vocational schools are really, really ahead of the game in terms of preparing our students. And this is a wonderful thing for Bergen County and a wonderful thing for the residents, and I'm very glad to be part of this team. Thank you.
Thank you. Realtor Ortiz.
Thank you, Chairwoman. This is my first budget, obviously, as the new freeholder, and I gotta say it was extremely informative. I also want to thank Freeholder Gans for your guidance. And what I found, which this was great for the freeholders, although we have a budget committee, we actually worked as a team, like I said, and I loved it. It was over 24 hours. We put together line by line. I mean, we were extremely responsible in where we made our cuts. And what I was very glad was you brought up education, being from the from a trustee for over 12 years at Bergen Community College, I saw how devastating it was for the students, and with the cuts, I'm glad that we were able not to touch any of the funding for Bergen Community College. I'm also glad we continue to focus on the STEM, which is what this also applies to the high schools and to the county tech schools. And I also want to applaud all the business leaders and Bergen County superintendent, the way that they're able to find the needed skills in the county to make sure our students are prepared for the jobs of tomorrow. I also want to thank the administration, Mr. Lupino, Mr. Kaplan, and I'd like to thank Mr. Bellucci, everyone, Mr. Neal. It just made the process so much easier, informative, and for me it was quite a learning experience. I come from a corporate background, and a budget on a county level is completely different. So thank you for the education, and I look forward, especially with the 5-year plan, what's going forward. So thank you very much, and that concludes my.
Thank you. Bill Rosa.
Yes, again, me too. First time budget person on the county level, and did want to thank you, Joe and Mike and Julie, and everybody worked, and I'm very proud. I think it is a responsible budget, and it secures our long-term financial security while providing for our most vulnerable constituents. As Paul Nichols said, when it comes to mental health funding, which is a priority of mine, we've got your back. We are supporting our nonprofit partners and our mental health programs. This is a big part of the fight against homelessness. And again, to reiterate, Bergen County is the first community in the nation to end chronic homelessness, first county in the state to end veterans homelessness. And also our mental health funding is so key in our fight against this horrible opioid addiction epidemic. So we are working to forge new partnerships with nonprofits and put renewed emphasis on working together as a community to deliver the services and to be efficient, effective, and work against this opioid crisis. Thank you.
Bill Sullivan.
Thank you, Chairwoman. As the people have pointed out, thank you, Steve Finale, that nailed it with just about everybody, so I just want to say kudos to all. Julian as well. I don't know Julian got mentioned, but we got to mention Julian. But thank you to everyone. Like I said, it was a tough budget. It came out to be a good budget after all the hard work from Joe and his office and the county executive. It's been stated we cut over $1 million, but we not only cut over $1 million from the budget, proposed budget, but we made responsible cuts. We also, since I've been on the board, we've been mental health conscious and made sure we may have that in our budget this year. As you know, from the first day I came on this board, that was one of my priorities is mental health and the opioid, the crisis. And sometimes it feels like you swim upstream, but you got to swim because we have to do whatever we have to do to beat this. So I want to say thank you for the funding that we kept in there. That also, ties into a lot of other things we do. We share services with people. We are together on this board. We're together with other services in the community, in the county. We continue to share services, saving money for all the people in other municipalities. A great way we do it is by allowing people to refinance their debt through our AAA bond rating. Bergen County's got the best bond rating you can get. And that's a shared service that sometimes people don't realize that saves the taxpayers direct money. When municipalities, communities want to come and they're able to refinance their debt through us, it saves millions and millions of dollars for those communities. So the small communities have an edge by coming to the county and using us. These are the kind of things that we've tried to do while being responsible on the board. David did a phenomenal job as usual. I expect nothing less. But Freeholder and Freeholder Ortiz are correct. This is a team effort up here. And we do our best. Sometimes people aren't agree with what we do. And I get it. People have differences of opinion. But this budget, this year, is probably the most responsible budget I've ever been part of. in community service. And I want to thank everyone for it. Let's move on. Let's get going. Let's continue the great work this county is doing. Thank you, Freeholder.
Thank you, Freeholder Sullivan. I want to thank each and every one of my colleagues. You know, we talked about being a team, but what also took place was really stringent questioning on and going through a series of 20 different meetings, line by line, making sure the division and department heads justified every single expenditure on behalf of the taxpayers of Bergen County. This was the same process we went through when this board was a bipartisan board. We were able to actually go through and make even deeper cuts than we did when we had a divided board. And these tough questions that all of you asked, the grilling that we put all of your department heads through, we're not sorry for it, because the reality is this is what our main job is as we deliver efficient and effective government for the residents of Bergen County. And as you justified the missions and the direction that each department was going, you answered all of our questions. We had 41 different requests for information, which you complied with each and every time. So I want to also thank not only Joe Lupino, but all of the division and department heads who answered and dealt with our barrage of questioning. As you heard, we cut $1 million from the proposed budget, and this meant that we limited the rate of growth of the county budget to 1.64%. But with the property values in Bergen County up now 2.4%, over $4 billion, this is going to lead to a reduction in the overall tax rate in Bergen County. And that's really a credit to the responsible budgeting of this board and this administration. Budgeting, as you've heard of all my colleagues say, it's about priorities, and we met ours. Education, mental health, addiction services, funding for veterans, veterans employment, veterans housing, small business, consumer affairs. We funded GIS planning software, which is going to allow our economic development division to offer shared services to municipalities, to prospective business owners that are considering opening in Bergen County, and allow them to make informed decisions on where to open and showing them that Bergen County is open for business. We funded consumer affairs, which had been cut drastically under the previous administration, funding a tip line and fully staffing the division to protect Bergen County residents from waste, fraud, and abuse. And we entered into an innovative first ever relationship with Passaic County, which not only is going to be revenue generating, but also is going to allow us to take a regional approach to fighting fraud in both counties. So we are meeting our responsibility to Bergen County to making sure that we are responsible stewards of their budget, and we will continue to work towards providing the best service that government can possibly provide. And I want to thank, in addition to each and every one of you on this board, I want to give a special thank you to Storm, my aide, who dealt with all of our insanity, and Jared, and also to Kim, who was at every budget hearing, typing away and keeping up with the rapid fire approach that we dealt with at every question. So Kim, thank you so much for all of your support throughout this process too. Yes, certainly.
Just very briefly on behalf of the administration, and since the county executive couldn't be here, I also just wanted to thank Freeholder Gans for your efforts to serve as chairman, regardless of the personal challenges that you went through, and that was very admirable for your efforts and your dedication with regard to that. I also want to thank the Freeholder Board as a whole, just for what you did, the steps you did put the administration through, because those things are necessary. And as was discussed with regard to the budget hearing earlier in this process, the challenge now becomes acting in accordance with our budget. But I also want to make it clear that the budget is a living, breathing document as well, that as we go through the year and have to make adjustments, we will make those adjustments. And I just want to make it clear as well that the budget does not close any doors to potential opportunities. And in particular with some of the budget testimony we had today, that if there are adjustments or agreements or other things that come into fruition, the administration will support those efforts and will not see those as a bar to doing what we need to do to see that the county is successful.
Okay, now can I have a roll call? Oh, Mr. Lupino, you
Yes,
should say.
I just wanted to thank the Freeholder Board. You guys are very professional, and it's an honor for me to work with you. You've put aside politics for responsible budgeting. And just to give you an update, we sat down, my office, we sat down with Moody's, because we're selling bonds on June 6th. So we did get an affirmation of the AAA rating. And if you read the credit report, our strength is our financial management team, and you are part of the financial management team because the budget, you're responsible for voting on the budget and adopting. So a lot of the, it's not just me or the administration, you are part of that financial team. And if you read, I'll circulate the Moody's report. If you read that report, it also states that we have a history of conservative budgeting, and actually the analyst said, Joe, you guys are AAA. If there was a quadruple A, you would be quadruple A.
That's great.
but you're because you can't go any higher at this point. But again, I want to thank you, thank the whole board for the work, and Julie and the administration. It's an honor to be here, and I want to thank again my great staff. And it's not one person; it's the staff that I have. I have the best staff in this county. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joe, for all of your help and your support through the entire process. Can I now take a roll call on the budget?
Freeholder Omarosa?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Ortiz?
Yes.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Voss?
Yes.
Chairwoman Zur?
Yes.
7 ayes, 755-17 passes.
Okay, thank you very much. It is now the opportunity in the meeting for there to be committee reports. As this meeting's already gone there's already been a lot of discussion. I'm going to ask that each and every one of us just keep it brief. Not a travel blog, but just reports on what you've been doing on your committees. Thank you very much. Freeholder Voss, why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Bergen Community College had its graduation of over 2,000 students, and I have to commend my colleague over here, Freeholder Chair, I elevated you, Jay Ortiz, for her keynote speech, which was really, really very inspiring to the students. One of the things that we did was a recognition lunch for the members of the Bergen County Education Association, and because education is one of my many priorities. Over 500 teachers came to this luncheon, and the woman who was Teacher of the Year was very outstanding, and we're having one. And I'd like to see more recognition being given to the people who were selected as Teacher of the Year. I attended the Sheriff's 101 Days of Summer Traffic Luncheon, and this is really important, and I hope our police will really enforce click it with our seatbelts. Don't text when you're driving, don't use your phone, and absolutely don't drink and drive. And I said to the officers, really, 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 when you get somebody doing that, make an example of them and really handle it. Memorial Day was fantastic. For many years, I was a little worried that people were not paying attention to Memorial Day, that they were too interested in going away on vacation. And in many of the towns, and especially in my town, Fort Lee, people have worked very, very hard the last few years to make Memorial Day into what it should be, a memorial to thank the over 1.5 million servicemen and women who gave their lives so that we could live in this wonderful country. So I thank them all, and one of the things that I always say at the end of any of my speeches is, God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholder Ortiz.
I also obviously went to the Bergen County Bergen Community College 48th commencement, which was actually I think my 11th commencement since I was trustee, and I was very excited. I was very honored to be the speaker. Although I was a nervous wreck, I really wanted to tell my story, and I hope I inspired someone. I was very inspired by the valedictorian, Marilyn Heiner, who's 71 years old, was the valedictorian of Bergen Community College. She was married for 37 years, and she was a widow. And after she became a widow, she decided to go back to school. She was very depressed, and she ended up getting her associate's degree in childhood education. So I was so proud of her. And what made it even more exciting to her is that she was an avid Giants fan, and she went to over 300 games. I think she went, and since 1971. And she was so happy that she was able to give her speech at Giants Stadium, at MetLife Stadium, and that her husband had the best seat looking over her. So it was beautiful. Oh my God. And then County Executive Jim Tedesco got an honorary degree, so he also was part of the class of 2017. I also was able to attend many memorial services, Little Ferry, Emerson, my hometown, Saddlebrook Parade, and Bogota Parade. And what I was very happy about was at the Emerson ceremony, the American Legion they prepared the whole ceremony, and they also mentioned that as of, I think it was yesterday, the applications were ready for all our disabled veterans, because there has been we did a partnership with the American Legion and the county, and we have 13 homes. They're not, well, they're like 900 square feet homes for disabled veterans. So I'm very excited to see that we'll have our veterans moving in to Emerson, and we welcome them with open arms. So thank you, and that's the report.
Bailiff Schnelly.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I just asked for a little bit of indulgence. First, I just want to say that, like I mentioned earlier, that the master plan for parks is moving forward. I'm looking forward to the day that we all get our hands on it and can really dive into it. So Memorial Day, we're all going to discuss a lot of the events that we had gone to Memorial Day, but I had the honor of speaking in the keynote speech for Lyndhurst's Memorial Day service. And I thought some of my remarks were important for us to remember. And one of the things is that with history going and us teaching less and less about history, what's going on in our school system, the fact that the parades were rained out, it's very disappointing, because as we're walking those parade routes with our veterans, it gives our parents and grandparents a true opportunity to explain what that one day, the only day that we give as a day of remembrance for those who didn't make it home, that fought for our liberties. So the sad part about it is that when you go to a memorial service that's indoors, most families don't go out and attend those. They want to be on the parade, see the fire trucks, but it still gives us an opportunity to speak. But one of the things I talked about was Michigan Governor Granholm said it best: ceremonies are important, but our gratitude has to be more than visits to our troops and once a year Memorial Day ceremonies. We honor the dead best by treating the living well. And I talked about treating the living well to make a pact that starting Monday that we start doing positive messaging on social media instead of all the negative garbage that we see every day. And how about starting Monday putting a monument to those veterans that we know, our family members, our loved ones that have served and maybe didn't come back, or our loved ones that are there now serving, so that are making the sacrifice for us to share those freedoms. Put a photo up of somebody that you know that's serving. And then the other thing I discussed was by treating the living well, here in Bergen County, the fact that under this administration and this freeholder board that we've eliminated veteran homelessness in this county is now more prevalent than ever. And I think it's something that we should all be proud of. And although the White House and the United States, the remaining portion of the United States doesn't believe the same as what we believe, but we keep banging the gun. The White House has already taken notice of what we've done here. Maybe we can have an impact elsewhere. So that concludes my report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Bailiff Schnelly. Fielder Gaddis.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. Thank you. I'll be very brief. I had the pleasure of marching in 4 parades this weekend in Bergenfield, Lodi, Rivervale, and Fairlawn. Of all the parades, this is the first time that I have ridden in a car and not walked. It's an interesting experience. It didn't seem quite as long. I took the opportunity when I spoke by way of address to the people of Fairlawn that one of the things that we're still not willing to address are the suicides of our veterans. 22 veterans kill themselves every day. 10,000 deaths a year. And the Army has yet to really acknowledge that they have a problem, and they also have solutions. I think I've told you that my son, Scott, committed suicide 3 years ago as a veteran coming from Afghanistan. This is a very sad tale, but it has afforded me the opportunity and indeed the platform to tell his tale and explain why he was unwilling to seek help from an Army that offered an appointment 18 months later, and why, with all going on in his life, including my first grandchild, he felt compelled to make this final gesture. And yet, Scott and many others who are like him are not even counted in our war dead. There are 21 million Americans who fought for freedom. And as we know, the price of freedom isn't free. It takes lives. It takes away the future. But this is something that I feel gifted and fulfilled and very lucky to have known my son and to be as proud of him as I am for him having given his all to help keep America free. I'm going to switch tactics for just one last second. Tell you about Bergen Wellness. Most of you have heard about it, although as I have found out recently from talking about it with a number of great participants, that there are people who haven't heard about Bergen Wellness. It's a swell program that gives you discounts on drugs, diabetic supplies, and also such things as medical costs, pharmaceutical costs for humans as well as pets. And you will all be very pleased to know that Mimi the cat, who had diabetes and had this resolved 3 times, had diabetes again. She became insulin dependent, and she kicked it again.
She's got 9 lives.
I think that this is correct. She either has 9 lives or is just one incredibly loved cat. It might be the latter. But what is so fascinating about this is they have no idea why this works. It just does. And anyway, you can save 30% or more on pharmaceutical drugs, 30% for pets, and this is straight from the bottom line. And all you have to do is to take the Bergen Wellness card, it's right here, and Mr. Frank Fuchs was always so wonderful in helping explain this. If you use this web address, which I left for Frank to drop in, you'll be able to get a Bergen Wellness card that is absolutely free and has saved Bergen consumers more than $8 million over the 10 some odd years of its existence. as we now go into the 101 days of summer, this is a grand opportunity for all of us to reflect on what our priorities are going to be in the fall, and as we acknowledge our future, let us never forget the past. And as I ended each of my talks about the veterans, God bless them. God bless the people of our community, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Fielder Camps. Fielder Amoroso.
Thank you. First off, I must testify that Freeholder Ortiz did a wonderful job telling her story as commencement speaker at Bergen Community College. I was so proud. On May 24th, Freeholder Ortiz and I continued our grand tour of Bergen County services by touring the One Stop Career Center in Hackensack. The One Stop Career Center offers a whole host of services for displaced and laid off workers, veterans, the disabled, seniors, and young people between 14 and 21 who are economically disadvantaged, displaced, or have special needs. The center offers several types of training, including high school equivalency preparation, and it can get grants for employers to train new staff. Through job fairs and positive recruitment, the center helps local businesses find workers. The center can even help businesses get tax credits for hiring workers who traditionally have hurdles to employment. On May 26th, along with a number of us, we went to Sheriff Sodino's 100 Days of Summer law enforcement event. Summer is traditionally a time when there's more leisure activity and therefore more chaos on the roads. We learned that pedestrian fatalities are down in New Jersey, good thing, but one officer noted that while we have a 93% compliance in the use of front seatbelts, that number drops to 45% for backseat passengers. So both enforcement and education are still critical. One final note on our resolution earlier on gun violence awareness. In the United States, the death rate from gun homicides is about 31 deaths per million people, which is the equivalent of 27 people shot dead every day of the year. We remember and we mourn the victims. Thank you.
Thank you, Fielder Amoroso. Fielder Sullivan.
I was told to be brief, so I'm going to be brief.
Thank you.
Just remember Tuesday is the primary day. Whoever you vote for, please get out and vote. It's we can tie that right into Memorial Day. It's something that people died for to give us the right to do, and I think more of us should do it. And about Memorial Day, I watched some parades as well, some services. Got pretty wet in the morning, but you know what? I think I say it every year, we need to remember Memorial Day is not a sale day. It's not about sale, it's about the veterans who gave their life defending our freedom, and you can't put a price on that. So thank you very much to all that served and all that is serving. I just recently went to a movie with my wife. She makes me go to movies. It was called Megan Levy. It's about a Marine and her dog. It was a really touching movie, and you get to see some of the insights that some of these soldiers go through. I recommend it. Not that I'm Cisco Ebert, but it ties into Memorial Day, and I just thought we should really memorialize it. And last, I just want to touch on 46417, the Gun Violence Day, June 2nd. Freeholder Amoroso made some statements, talking to my colleague, Freeholder Tenelli, in the back before the meeting. You know, New Jersey does have some of the stiffest gun laws in the nation. I wish other states would follow suit, but there's still a lot more to be done. And I really think we need to take a logical approach to gun safety in this country, and I hope that we come to some kind of agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Sullivan. As May was Mental Health Month, I finished the month by doing mental health first aid training, which was something that I wanted to do. It was a very full day of providing really the skills to deal with individuals who are in crisis and to be able to not only identify that crisis, but be able to figure out what to do in those situations. And I want to thank Michelle Hart-Laughlin and the entire staff who make sure that these trainings were available. It was a packed house. It was full of employees and of individuals who wanted to make sure that we are providing the best care and the best attention to those who are most in need within our community. I also had the privilege yesterday of speaking at Eisenhower Middle School in Wyckoff for the Relay for Life, to see young people involved and engaged in philanthropy and understanding that they have the ability to make a difference and make an impact in finding a cure. For me, I realized that it's been 10 years since I lost my best friend from college to breast cancer. And so seeing the future generation who's going to be involved in finding a cure kind of stepping up to the plate was really impactful. So I want to thank all the educators and all the parents who are instilling those values of community and community service into their children. And that speaks to the Memorial Day parades that we all attended. Even though it was pouring rain, I was really pleased to see the roads of Fair Lawn packed, even in the pouring rain, and to see North Arlington lined with people, even though it wasn't the prettiest day. And the reality is that this is the time for us to pause and to understand the ultimate sacrifice that so many made so that we could have these celebrations in our community, so that we can pull together to support each other. Speaking of support and things that are important, I just want us all to take a moment publicly to congratulate Freeholder Chinelli, who graduated from college. This was something that I can't tell you how proud I am of, with a full workload on this Freeholder board, to also make sure that you checked off this box of something that you wanted to accomplish. You deserve a huge round of applause. And look forward to celebrating the master's degree that's going to come next.
Just don't tell my wife.
I think you just did.
I should say that. Yes.
If I may, I just want to say a word of thanks to our counselor, Ed Florio, who took a lot of abuse this evening. And
No more than
well, it may not be more than usual, but it's more than, in my opinion, anybody should have to take. And I think that he acquitted himself amply. Thank you.
Speaking of things to take, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I was just gonna say before we adjourn that, obviously Freeholder Gaines, you haven't seen his workout pictures that he posts. He can take anything anybody's got to give him.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion to